Hey, so I was always mesmerized by the feeling that the Indiana Jones movies and the Uncharted games gave me. You know the one, right? So I decided, hey, let me recreate it at home by discovering the ruins of an ancient pantheon of gods of the Aztec Empire. But in order to do that, let me take 30 seconds to bring you up to speed. So, the Aztecs were a culture of people in nowadays central Mexico, and their empire existed from the 14th to the 16th century, right before the Europeans arrived there. What differentiates them from the Mayans is they lived further north in Mesoamerica and they spoke exclusively the Nahuatl language. They also had their own religion, which was polytheistic, animistic, and included human sacrifice. The name Aztec comes from Aztecatl, meaning people from Aztlan, the ancestral home. Now we are all on the same page. First up, well, you'll see. If there's one deity you remember out of this video, let it be Tlaloc. He is the wet boy, the supreme god of the rain, and thus kind of the giver of life. Basically, imagine all the things water is capable of: nourishing the planet, destroying the planet, giving life, taking life. He is kind of like the embodiment of that. A deity of this type and caliber existed way before the Aztecs came along, but the actual name, Tlaloc, is pure blood Aztec. Also, excuse the comparison, but he is kind of like Poseidon and Zeus brought together, or like Squirtle and Pikachu. Why, you may ask? Well, he is almost always associated with a lightning bolt, and it does reflect his powers. Also, fun fact, archaeologists discovered a 168-ton statue in Coatlichan, and the consensus is, it's his. See, I told you he's important. Although there are some opinions that it might represent his sister. It do be like that sometimes. Now, if you thought the name of this last town was hard, wait till you hear the next deities. Huitzilopochtli is kind of like the opposite of Tlaloc. He is associated with things that take the human life quite often: war, human sacrifice, the sun, and by extension, fire. He was even depicted with Xuocat, a mythological serpent that was thought to be the spirit form of another fire deity. His name is often translated to the hummingbird of the south, and he is the second out of 4 solar gods, in no particular order, although he used to be of much lesser importance before the Aztecs came along. Quetzalcoatl is another one of the solar deities, representing life, the day, winds, and wisdom. He was an ally of Tlaloc, as both of them were associated with the planet Venus. Quetzalcoatl usually wears the Ehuecacoxcatl, or the wind breastplate, as it is often called, which was actually a conch shell worn as a talisman by some religious rulers. If, after the last deity, you feel like a lot of Aztec names are just words strung together, you are correct. This deity's name consists of two, Quetzal and Coatl, literally meaning something like precious serpent, but allegorically making him the wisest of men. Tezcatlipoca is the final one of the 4 solar deities. He was celebrated in the month of May with a ceremony called Toxcatl. Now, he is kind of like the opposite of Quetzalcoatl. Not officially, of course, I'm just saying it to make it easier for you to remember. But look, his main things are the night, night sky, night winds, hurricanes, obsidian, hostility and discord, and sorcery. Okay, a lot of things, basically. His name is translated as Smoking Mirror. This alludes to his connection with obsidian, from which mirrors were made in ancient Mesoamerica. Fun fact, even one of his feet is depicted as a piece of obsidian, as he lost his while battling the earth monster in the creation myth. Okay, now we are done with the solar deities. So let's kick the speed up a notch. Tlaltecutli is the earth monster. Yeah, the same one. This deity is also sometimes referred to as the god of earth, as in the creation myth, our earth was created on his body, more or less. He is, thus, the source of life, and also is associated with Tlalkihuatl, the lady of the earth. Tonacatecutli is the main fertility god. His name most often means Lord of our sustenance. Along with his consort, he lived in Omeyocan, the highest 13th of all heavens, from which all human souls came to the earth's surface. Mishkoatl, literally the cloud serpent, is the personification of the whole freaking Milky Way. And he is also the god of the stars, obviously, and the hunt, less obviously. He often carries hunting gear, and his body is painted in red and white stripes, just like the US flag. Oh. And with a pretty cool name, we have Xipetotec, the god of resurrection, vegetation, and the seasons. So you can definitely associate him with the circle of life, right? Also, he has so many other names, but I like this one the most. Fun fact about our spring boy, he even stripped his skin off in order to give food to humanity. Now that's dedication. But supposedly, he also invented war. Man, he should have used a double-edged sword. And finally, Tzimitzitl is a weird one. This deity even appears in the Persona games, and nowadays is often referred to as a demon. But that's not exactly correct. Tzimitzitl was represented with a female figure, often having something to do with skulls or crossbones, but this being had always something to do with fertility or the stars, especially the solar eclipse. Sometimes it was feared, sometimes celebrated, but what's also important is that Tzimitzitl was just a template. It's like a zombie, there can be many of them. Man, I can't wait until James Cameron makes a movie about them in 50 years. Until then, we can only wait. Okay, and that's it for today. I want to start the second, let's say, mini season of this series so badly, and we are finally here. Also, remember that I am not an expert, so I will leave all my resources in the description. Also, I know that I probably missed an important deity or two, but my goal was just to have fun, and to achieve that ancient, mysterious feeling. And I hope I at least provided that. So, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.